joining in. And if you haven't joined in before, then usually I do a little chatting here at the beginning just about a little bit about life and crafting and what's coming up. And I like to hear from you too. So leave me a comment. Say hello as you're hopping on. Let me know where you're watching from, what projects you've been working on lately. I love to have conversations with our viewers because then I don't feel so alone, like I'm just talking to a computer screen. So yes, hopefully we can have a little fun here today. We're going to do some crafting and we are going to talk about our second chance release. So we are naming it Second Chance because if you did not earn these items or receive these items as part of one of our events, you now have a second chance at them. So they came from different places, and I will explain all of those so that if you've been at some of our events or you've purchased a kit that might have an item that's now releasing, or perhaps you've earned one of our 100 plus freebies throughout the months, we are now releasing those today for purchase. So if you did not earn them during the month they were available, then now is your second chance to grab them. And we've got tons of inspiration and even some new products. So even if you have earned every freebie and you were at Stamp Joy and you bought every kit, there are still items for you today that we have made to coordinate with these previously released freebie items. So I'm excited to share it all with you here in a little bit. Let's see who we've got hopping on today and just say hello to a few people. All right. Hopefully my comments load today. Yesterday was Monday, so hopefully the computer has gotten its time to kind of reset after the busy week last week. And oh, very low volume. Okay, Whitney's going to probably be coming in soon to help me out with that. There must be a microphone or something that is maybe not plugged in. Here she is, or here's Kevin and Whitney. We brought the big guns in to help me. Maybe
yeah,
the dial. Kevin knows all. Okay. Well, I will wait to say anything super important until you guys tell me whether the volume is getting any better. So let us know. We've got some dials we're turning around here, and you guys can leave comments if it's still difficult to hear or if you can hear me okay. So sorry about that. Okay, much better. That's it. Okay, we got lots of comments that everything is better now. So thank you guys. I don't think I said anything too important other than today we are celebrating our second chance release. And these are products that have been previously available either as a freebie with our $100 or more purchases, perhaps a Stamp Joy goodie bag or early release items from our fall event, maybe something from a kit, a previously released kit. So we're bringing out an item that we wanted to make part of our full catalog. So yeah, I will go through all of that as we get into things, and then we'll do a little bit of crafting. So good morning, Farley from Sacramento. Awesome. Now I just see a bunch of volume much betters and not hello, good morning. So I'm going to go back up to the top and say hi. Gail's here from Georgia. Awesome. Good to see you. And Belinda from Spring, Texas. Oh, homesick with tonsillitis. That doesn't sound fun. Hello, EJ. Yes, Linda's here from Apple Valley, Minnesota. Awesome. Well, you guys were on it this morning. I'm glad that it was just an us issue that we could fix very quickly for you before we get into all the good stuff. So, hi Peggy, off work today. That's exciting. Working on a very special Valentine card. That's fun. How about the rest of you? Have you gotten your Valentine projects done? Are you working on treats or maybe some cards, Galentine's Day cards perhaps? Or a card for your special Valentine, maybe your grandkids. So yes, I know we're all busy making Valentine projects and treats, and my daughter came home, so my oldest is in 5th grade this year, which is her last year of elementary school, and their classroom voted to do boxes for Valentine's this year. So sometimes the teachers will allow the classroom to vote whether they want to make their own box at home and bring it in to put all the exchange of Valentines in, or sometimes the teachers just choose for the kids and they decorate a bag at school, and then all of their Valentines go in that. So this year, Maddie's class voted that they all want to make a box at home and bring it in. And I tell you what, I don't know how many of you have made Valentine boxes before, but these have gone crazy. So you can't just bring in like a tissue box with some red paper and hearts on it. It has to be like shaped like a taco. Or one year we made, I think we made a cloud covered in cotton balls, and then a rainbow coming out of the top of the cloud, and then you have to cut your little holes so they can put the Valentines in it. So if anybody has any amazing Valentine box ideas, I've been all over Pinterest, so please don't send me to Pinterest. I want to know what actually works and doesn't take a ton of supplies. I am a crafty person. I have a lot of craft supplies, but when I have to go out and buy 100 things that I need to use to make this Valentine box, it doesn't make me very happy. So I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do for this Valentine box in Maddie's last year of Valentine's Day boxes in elementary school. It should be fun. So, all right. Candy says all of her classmates should come to the studio to make one. Yeah, that would be an experience. I guess they're in 5th grade. They're pretty responsible. We're not, running around and screaming. But maybe when my other daughter gets to 5th grade, that's something we should entertain. So, yes, and Linda's probably not surprised that I made a rainbow box. That was several years ago. It seems like for the last many years, my girls' classes have decided to decorate boxes or bags at school and not do them at home. So I'm a little out of practice. So, all right, well, let's get to talking about our second chance release. And you guys know that I always like to start with our bundle deal. So I'm going to start there today. We have this special bundle happening. It is our garden variety bundle. And these 4 products, it's 4 die sets, include the garden variety die set, which is all the flowers up at the top left. And then you have our rustic pail and our antique pails. And then over on the right side is our garden variety bouquet builder. So you can add your flowers to the stems and add a little bow on. So those 4 products, when you purchase the bundle, including them, you will receive free drip drops. And the drip drops will be either gold, silver, or the original drip drops. And that will be TE's choice. So our shipping team will just pick one out of our bucket, and you will get to kind of be surprised whether you get gold, silver, or the original drip drops. We'll talk a little bit more about that and show you some more samples of those products. Now, the only way you would have any of those products in the bundle is if you were at Stamp Joy this fall, which was our in-person event. Now, if you signed up for the virtual, it was not available through the virtual, so only if you actually attended in person, you would have items from that bundle. If not, then you do not have to check your stash. You don't have them. All right, I'm just doing a little bit of sorting out here as we kind of, lots of shaker tags. That was a favorite freebie. So hold on here. Give me a second to get everything where it needs to go. And then we'll start talking about all the goodies. Hopefully I don't put anything in the wrong pile here. Did everybody have a good weekend? We had a fun weekend filled with volleyball once again. And Maddie won her 3rd tournament for the season. So the girls are undefeated so far. And we are having lots of fun with that. Okay, last card into the pile here. And now we're going to bring in the bundle and talk about that. So here are those 4 items that I shared with you that are part of that garden variety bundle. So we have, it all starts with the garden variety die set here that includes lots of florals and little sprigs and greenery pieces for creating bouquets or pails or buckets filled with flowers. Everybody loves flowers, right? There's almost no occasion that you wouldn't use flowers for. So the other fun thing about this set is all of these white lines that you see on the packaging, those are all etchings. So they actually cut into the paper and they give it a little bit of detail. And in some cases, the inside pieces of the flowers can pop up. So that's another fun feature of these that have more of a loopy cut-in design, and they will kind of give you a little bit more dimension without any extra work. So next up, to put your flowers on, we have our garden variety bouquet builder. So you have those stems and then the little bow to accent the stems, and then that gives you a place to put all of those flowers from the garden variety set. And then a couple other ways that you can use your florals is to put them in a pail or a bucket. So we have our rustic pail here. And again, those white lines are cut in details, so it gives you the detail of the bucket without having to do any extra work. And over here we have antique pails, so we have this kind of, I don't know, does that have a name? It's an antique looking pail with the kind of sway here in the top of it. And then we have here a little antique looking bucket, or I guess it's more of a jug or a pail. So lots of options with that. And then let me show you some samples. So when you purchase the bundle, you'll receive one of our drip drops. We have these in gold, silver, and original. So the original, if you can see them here, are kind of more like an iridescent, and then the gold and the silver. These are a flat-backed, non-adhesive piece that you can use to embellish the centers of your flowers. And this will be our choice, so we'll grab one of these different pieces from our bucket, and you'll be surprised whether you get gold, silver, or the original drip drops there. So on this one, you can see we use the rustic pail at the bottom. Susan made this beautiful card. I love how these petite scallops kind of offset the whole design. She's got lots of greenery in the background, and then this is the original drip drop, so you can see a little bit of the iridescence there. So that's one option. And then we've got here the garden variety bouquet builder. So this is where you can use those stems to kind of help you place where those flowers can go in order to create your stemmed bouquet. And then we've got one more that we're going to make a little bit later here today. This is what we'll be crafting, and this is our garden variety again, and with that kind of antique pail. I'm going to show you how to give it some texture to make it look a little bit more realistic, almost, I don't want to say galvanized, but that was kind of what I was going for. I know galvanized is a little bit different look, but this gives it some texture and dimension, and I'll show you how to do that on those buckets. So there you have the bundle for this release. Now let's talk about the next item. This kind of goes with the bundle, or could go with the different pails that are in that bundle, but this is our freebie from the month of August. This is the coneflowers die. It has 3 stems and then 2 coneflowers in different sizes, and then the centers for each of those coneflowers. And this makes some beautiful cards. So originally when we released this as a freebie, Jill Hawkins created this inspiration for you guys. The purples and pinks with the bright yellow sky, just really gorgeous. Again, she used drip drops here, so you could substitute those for the original silver or gold if you get those with your bundle purchase. Then we have some new inspiration for you. So Heather created this pretty card, of course probably not a surprise with the toffee that you see as the backdrop. I love how she did a frame here in the same color as her card base and just glued them together. So it gives it dimension without adding another color, and allows your eye to go straight to her focal point here, which are those beautiful coneflowers. And they also have the same cut-in details that the garden variety has that really add a lot of dimension to your designs without having to do any extra work. Then Lori Craig created this gorgeous card. I love how this is a mini slim, and that jug fits perfectly with those coneflowers coming out the top. And I'll have to ask Lori, this looks like it's Olo marker that she colored these with. And I know we're all getting very excited for Stamp Joy Virtual around here. We have given some sneak peeks and told you that Lori's actually going to be in-house teaching us more about Olo markers. We'll be offering them for sale during our supply sale so that you can grab a small bit of olos to use during the event, and then decide if you love them and you want the rest of them. So yeah, just another option for alcohol-based markers. And we're excited for Stamp Joy coming up to be able to share all of that with you guys. All right, there we have cone flowers. Now let's talk about, maybe we should go backwards. So that was August. This was July. I'm gonna try to go in order now, but that cone flowers went so well with the garden variety items. But now we'll move back to July, and our July freebie was this 1 in a Melon stencil and clear combo. So it has the stencils that create the watermelon background, and then a clear stamp set that has sentiments. There are some seeds in case you want to use seeds on your stencil pieces in case of, or instead of doing the stencil, you can use the clear stamp and then a couple of extra words as well. So that was a fun one for summertime. And in addition, this is brand new. So this has not been available previously. We have the 1 in a Melon die set. So this will cut out the 2 sentiments that are in that clear stamp. It will create its own small watermelon half piece and then a small slice. So you'll have dies to create that little extra embellishment if you want it for your background. Now let's take a look at some of the projects. So originally, Jill created a couple of cards, and I created a couple of cards too. I think we had a lot of fun kind of coming up with what you could do with the watermelons without actually making them watermelons. So let's take a look at a few of those. I created these top 2 and I made them into oranges and lemons, and You're the Zest came from a previous, gosh, I forget what the name of that, Squeeze the Day, I think is the name of that stencil. And then You're Super Cool, Hope Your Day is Awesome. Both of these would make really fun cards in the summer. And super easy, we just skipped the seeds layer and added little accents with the white gel pen and Copic marker to make it look like orange and lime slices. So those are kind of a fun option. Or if you want to get real creative, Jill made this adorable card and she imagined the watermelons as pizza. So she added all of these extra details. We have the kind of olives and pepperoni and green peppers and whatever you want on your pizza. She added those with markers, so that's not part of the stencil, but she did use the rind and the inside to make her pizza crust portion of this card. So I think that's super fun. And whenever pizza's involved, we all got to get out our stretchy pants, right? Okay, so now let's see. Need that watermelon set, Mindy. I know I saw you comment that your mom is super into watermelons and you wanted to use it to make her cards. So that sounds like fun. I'd love to see what you come up with. So then we have Kathy asked, is Stamp Joy only in person or is there an online option? So we are getting ready to do Stamp Joy virtual. It's in March. However, registration ended for that at the beginning of January. So unfortunately, I know we have a waiting list, but with virtual events, we really don't get a lot of cancellations because it's something that people can partake in at any time. So the videos are always available and there really isn't a reason to cancel because you can always watch later. So you can contact us to get on a waiting list, but I'm not sure how fast that waiting list will go through. So here are a few other options for the watermelon. We've got more adorable pink watermelons this time. I think Emily Midlowski made this card. Yep, that's an Emily card. And here she used the die pieces to create a watermelon. She cut the backer out of black so that when this middle part with the fruit of the watermelon, it cuts out the seeds so you'll see through there and then see through to the black in order to make them black seeds. So that allows you to not have to cut and place all of the tiny little seeds on the watermelon. Trust me, you'll thank me for that idea later because nobody wants to deal with tiny little watermelon seeds. And then these 2 projects were other ones that Jill and I created when this first came out. I'm not sure if you can see on this one, but I actually used the stencil with our glitter grab. Once that glitter grab dried, I put black foil over the top, and now my seeds are a little bit shiny and sparkly. So they look almost a little bit wet on the card, which is a fun effect to try. So there we have the 1 in a Melon stencil and clear combo was the previous freebie, and then this brand new item, the 1 in a Melon dies to coordinate. Now let's talk about, that was July, cone flowers were August, now we're going to talk about September. So in September, our freebie was the adorable Dutch Garden layering stencil. This was a 4-layer stencil that allows you to get some really beautiful patterns. I think Susan, or really beautiful color combinations. Susan created a set of 4 projects, or maybe she didn't. No, Jill created that one. Emily, and then I think these 2 are Susan's. So yeah, so you can see just a little bit something different in all of these color combinations, and they all look absolutely gorgeous. So this one's a little bit more pastel with the shaker in there. You've got your lavender glaze, and it looks like saltwater taffy with some pink champagne and mint julep, kind of a pretty color combination. This one's a little bit more bold with the pop of black in there around the sentiment and the strip. Then this card from Emily uses purples, which I'm loving. I think that's Dijon here in the middle. It might be honey. I'll have to ask her. Maybe she put it, nope, she didn't put it inside. I'm sure it's on her blog. But one of the things that I really love and want to point out, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but if I hold it up really close, after she stenciled her piece of paper, she used the Circles piercing plate to pierce over the top of the pattern. And it just gives it some really fun, almost quilted look to that background. And I thought that was really cute. So this is another bright, happy combination from Jill. And she, after stenciling it, cut circles out of it and popped them up, which gave it some added dimension and fun without making it really difficult to accomplish. So then Jill also imagined that these could make little birds. She used a marker to add wings and eyes. So cute, right? I love that. And let's get a few more. We've got a lot of these. So we have some new inspiration for you. I'm going to pull this one out. Here's another one from Emily. And this one, again, she did that quilted piercing plate in the background. It's called Circles Piercing Plate, and it just looks really cool. I love this color combination too. It looks like guava, fruit punch, blueberry, and maybe Cookie Monster. That's what I'm going with. I think it is super adorable. So, all right, let's look at something a little bit more rustic then. Heather created this one, as Heather does on her beautiful toffee cardstock. We have a little bit more darker green for the stems. I believe that looks like sweet basil to me. And then we've got some cherry pop, mulled wine, and sugar cube for the center of those tulip-y looking flowers. Makes a really beautiful Valentine card with that love you and Heather's super cute Get Thready hearts that she designed for our release last week. Was that just last week? I can't remember anymore. So to go along with the Dutch Garden layering stencil, which you might have received as a $100 freebie in September, we also have Foilet Dutch Garden and the Dutch Garden dies. So these have never been released before. You won't have these in your collection. They coordinate really nicely with this so that you can add small elements onto your projects that use the background. Or Susan's got a couple of designs here that she did with those accent pieces. So you can see she used the stencil in the background and then used the coordinating die pieces in each of those windows. And this one features the cute mushrooms. The sentiments came from, I believe, the mini strips You're the Best. So that was a good one to get back out again. Some just really good sentiments to have year round. You're my favorite. I'm thankful for you. Lucky to have you. You're the best. And then Lori Craig made this card. So she also featured the small accented die set. And then you can see the foiled background that she did. So if you want to, you can foil and then fill in these pieces with the with the stencil. So the stencil designs are designed to fit inside these outlines, or you can leave it blank like this and just foil the design and put something over the top. So lots of options with the Dutch Garden. How many of you guys earned this one back in September? Maybe looking to add on with some extra items. Okay, so that was September. October. October, I think, was everyone's favorite freebie, the shaker tag. This one has been sought after, I would say. I've seen it on Facebook, people popping up saying, I'm in search of this die set. Well, now you don't have to search anymore. We have it available. It is the shaker tag that includes a backer and a frame to create this cute shaker element for your tags. There's some extra pieces, so you can kind of accent the top of your tag like you see here if you wanted a different color. There's a half circle piece that goes right over the notch opening for your ribbon. And then if you want to tie on a tiny tag, you can do that as well. There's a coordinating tag included, and you can put some of the little pieces from your shaker bits on the tags, or we designed all of these little extras that you can even use to cut into this tag. So if you wanted to cut a little tree into the tag and maybe back it with another color, that would be another way that you could use these little elements, or you can use them as shaker material as well. So lots of options and samples for you here. I know when we originally released this, Jill created these in something like a whole holiday array. So we had maybe a summer-ish or just generic, then she had her fall, Halloween, and Christmas. So really fun to do in all the different seasons and occasions. And then Susan made a set of birthday tags recently, and she actually used the triple slim stencil. Kind of a fun thing that you can actually get 2 of these shaker tags out of one of the triple slim stencil panels. So just another fun way to use those triple slims. You don't have to always use them for cards. They look great as a shaker tag here. And then Lori created this one with some of those little Dutch Garden pieces as her shaker material, and tiny diamonds, of course. We've got that foil in the background and a foiled sentiment over the top too. So lots of fun tags. How many of you got this set in October? October is usually a big month for us, so we did give away a lot of these as 100 plus freebies that month. So Kathy needs the shaker tag. Oh, hello. Is it Bia or B? I never know how to pronounce that, so sorry if I've said it wrong, but I'm glad you're here from Ontario. No worries. If you're late, you can always join in or watch later too. So that was October. Now let's talk about, no, we're not gonna, did we do? Now I'm confusing myself because I'm not sure we did a freebie in November because, oh no, it was December that we didn't. Okay, so this one is from November. This is our card-worthy clear stamp set and the card-worthy sticky notes. So when you received this, if you purchased $100 or more in November, you received the stamp set and 1 sticky notepad. 1 blank sticky notepad. It was kind of stuck in the back of the stamp set, so in case you missed that. But now we've separated the two, and when you purchase, you can purchase just the stamp, or you can purchase extra blank Post-it notepads if you want. So the idea behind this stamp set is it's called Cardworthy, and it is designed to stamp at the bottom of a Post-it note, write your note on it, and so that your recipient knows they can remove that Post-it note and send the card on to a friend. So there are things that say, don't squirrel this card away, share it with a friend, remove this little message and share this card with someone you love. Made you smile, share the love and pass it on. Enjoy this card and pass the love along. So kind of a pay it forward type of a stamp set. Just a reminder that they don't have to hold on to the card if they want to make someone else's day. Just remove that little note and send the card along. It's definitely better than throwing it away. Maybe we need a stamp that says that. Don't throw this away. Send it on to someone else. I know we can't all keep everything all the time, but I hate to think about good cards going in the garbage. They should just keep passing them on. Okay, so those card-worthy sticky notes are now available in a pack of 2 sticky notepads. Each sticky notepad is blank and it has 25 sheets in it. It's designed to fit inside your A2 cards. And I had Susan actually take and stamp all of these little sentiments onto the Post-it notepad so I could show you kind of what it's designed to look like. And you could do this ahead of time as well. You could just stamp them in multiple different colors, or you could wait until you're ready to send your card, and then you can personalize it by coloring it in or even stamping it in colored inks. But if you like to work ahead, then this could be an option for you where you just see all the different messages at the bottom, and then when you're ready, you just peel one off, stick it inside your card, and it's ready to go. All right. Next up, let's talk about this. So this is something that was available as an early release at Stamp Joy. It was also part of our Black Friday special. So if you purchased 100 or more during Black Friday, you received these 2 enamel dots plus a 3rd holiday pack. So you might have these in your collection, but they are consumable. And I tell you what, I am consuming them. I love these guys. They're a matte finish enamel dot, so there's silver and there's gold. And it's not an in-your-face kind of a shine. So maybe I can even take out, I wonder if I have 2 cards that show both of them. Here we go. So here on this side is our silver drip drops. And then over here on the right side are the matte enamel dots. So they are a little bit more of a brushed silver finish, where these are a very shiny silver finish. The other thing I love, which you probably won't get from the card itself here, but these have much lower profile than our drip drops, and so they're a great option for those of you that like to keep your cards more flat when you're mailing them. These guys are going to be your friend, and I have been just using them like crazy. So even if you have these, you might want to grab another pack. I know some people were asking about them the other day as well, if we were ever going to bring them out, and I'm excited to say that here they are. So those are the gold and silver enamel dots. And then last, but certainly not least, this item came from one of our most popular kits. So last year we released the Friendly Filigree. I believe that was in October. And we released with it this stamp and die combo called Altogether Occasions. It is one stamp, so you can see all of those sentiments are connected together as one image. So you stamp that one time, and then you take the coordinating die and you place it around those sentiments, and you cut all of them at the same time. There are 8 sentiments in the stamp set, or in the stamp, and then when you're done cutting it one time, you'll have 8 different sentiments die cut. Now we also have the Altogether Occasions foilet. So if you want foiled sentiments, you just send that through your Mink machine and use the coordinating die to cut them out. So great, great products, very versatile. The sentiments in here are useful, probably the most useful sentiments we could come up with for card makers. There's a happy birthday, thinking of you, thank you, hello friend, congrats, with sympathy, just a note, and just for you. So all very useful occasions that we often need as card makers. All right, now I need to hear everybody's favorite so far. I know the favorites change as we go through the craft and as we see people's projects, and sometimes those favorites change, but what are you hoping to get your hands on that you hadn't seen before or don't have in your collection? All right, we're gonna start off the crafty portion of the live, and look at this, you guys. You are here today for the very first cut on these beautiful new plates. Are you ready for it? It's like a moment that needs to be recognized because it doesn't happen very often. So we are going to cut some of those antique pails. I told you I was going to show you how to get that more dimensional, almost galvanized look with your different pails. And my little tip right now is going to be, when you're doing this, do multiples. I always like to say, especially if you're not feeling creative in the moment that you go into your craft room, one of the things I always think is do something that my future self will thank me for. And whether that's just sitting down and die cutting a bunch of pieces so that they're ready to go, maybe even just die cutting flowers in different colors, or cutting my strips or cutting my scraps into strips, or you know, those different tasks where it doesn't take a lot of thought or design, but later when you need that piece, you'll be like, oh my goodness, thank you, past self, for doing that for me, because now I don't have to do it and I can just move on with this idea that's been in my head and move on my project faster. So instead of just doing one pail, which is all I need for today, we're going to do 3. And then I'm going to stash away the other 2 so that next time I want to build a bouquet, I have them at the ready. Okay, look at that. First cut in, there it is. Never brand new again. Hopefully I can keep all the cuts on the right side of the cutting mat. So whenever I want to add a little bit of dimension to my whatever piece I have, whether it's a background or it's a die cut piece, when I want to add just a subtle bit of texture to it, I always grab for our linen background stamp. And that's what I'm going to use to add a little bit of texture to these pails today. And we're going to do it in 2 different colors as well, because that also adds dimension when you do it in multiple colors. Now you don't always want to do multiple colors, but this particular background is so subtle that you can get away with it and it just adds extra texture. Sometimes if your background is more busy, then it just truly just adds busyness and not your desired effect. So, okay, I'm going to grab my little tape runner here and see if we can tape these down. Make sure my linen covers all of that. Okay, so there are a couple ways you could do this. What I'm going to do, just to be able to vary where my stamp goes down, I don't want to stamp it in one color and then stamp it again in a different color in the same exact spot. So I need to shift something. One option could have been to adhere these to a piece of cardstock, like let's say we could adhere each of them to this, and then when we're ready to stamp it again, we just turn the paper and stamp it in a different color so that our pattern is in a slightly different place. Or I think what I'm going to do here is just stamp it because I've got it all adhered down here already, and then I'll take my stamp and I'll turn it around. I do have to wash my stamp in between, so that's another important step as well. So don't let me forget that. So I have used oyster cardstock to die cut these, and now I'm using oyster ink for that first look, or first stamp of this background. And I did get my Just Press tool. Whitney's back today. I know for last week's live, I told you guys Whitney was gone, and I only forgot about 6 things that I needed. Most importantly, the stencils that we were using to make the project. But Whitney is back and made sure I have everything I need. Okay, so let's pull this up a little bit closer so you guys can see what that looks like. It just gave it that subtle bit of texture that makes your pot look not quite so flat. It gives it dimension, it gives it interest. So now I'm going to wash that stamp off with, I'm just going to lightly wash it with with a wipe, with a wet wipe. So let me grab that here. Okay. And my very amazing method of drying my stamp, just running my hand over it until it dries. Okay, so now I'm going to take and turn that stamp. Make sure that it still falls over all three of my pails. And we're going to take the next color ink, which is Sugar Cube. And now we're going to stamp them with Sugar Cube. Oh, now I have time to look back and see everybody's favorites. The add-ons to Dutch Garden Leanne likes. Marilyn, you like All Occasion and the pails. The pails are fun. I mean, we all have flower dies, right? I mean, how many flower dies have I had through the years? Probably a lot. And so I fully anticipate that you guys have flower dies, but maybe you don't have these type of vessels to hold your floral bouquet in. They're kind of unique and fun. All right, so now I'll pull that up and you can see what it looks like with a little bit of that Sugar Cube texture in there as well. And we got 3 of them. Now there's one more step that I'm going to do with these before I take this one and use it and then put those other 2 away. And to just add a little bit more, we're going to take our Sugar Cube ink, and you can do this with a blender brush or you can do it with something like this. These are the ones we sell at the TE store. It's a sponge dauber. Sometimes if I want to not really work very hard to get the ink where I want it, or I don't want it to be, I don't want to take a wide swoop, I just want to kind of hit it in a certain spot, I'll use these instead. And so that's what I'm going to use here. And I'm just going to kind of pull the ink out from the edge of the die cut and in towards the middle. So that's going to give us a little bit of a shadow around the outside of our pail. So there's our finished pail, our first one. I think I'm going to leave these 2 so that I can decide on when it comes time for my next project. I can decide whether I want to add extra shading around the outside. You can also do that shading with a darker color. So you could come in the side with Oyster for a tone-on-tone, more of a darker, deeper shadow. So there we have our little galvanized buckets. Yes, you could splatter it too. All right, now I'm gonna bring my die set or my die cut machine back in. I'm gonna have to pay real close attention to my plates and make sure that I cut this on the right side, but maybe I seem like a broken record, or maybe I'm just giving you guys tons of uses for these diagonal stitch dies, but that's what I have adhered here on my piece of Sugar Cube cardstock that creates that diagonal stitch dimension and texture, again, without having to do anything extra. So all of the items on this project, you can see this die has the cut-in lines, and the florals have the cut-in dimensional details, and all of the little sprays and sprigs in the background have that same cut-in detail. And then in order to kind of ground our bucket and have a spot for it to land, we're gonna put the diagonal stitch rectangle stacklet around the outside of this piece of Sugar Cube cardstock. So we'll do that next. Ooh, Bonnie says the texture looks a little bit like granite. That's kind of a cool thought that I hadn't had. Okay, now it's time to build our bouquet, right? And this is something definitely that I'm thanking my past self for. I had, from the original time that I made this project that we're making today, I had cut out the entire die set from all of these colors. And so I had these all saved in a little pouch behind my die set. And now I didn't have to cut them again. I just took them out and we're gonna arrange them here on our project. So it's kind of when I start to arrange something in a bucket, I start with the greenery because typically it falls behind and you want the flowers to take the front stage. So I just kind of start slipping in the greenery where I think that I want it. And I'm sure the bouquet that we make today will probably not look like the bouquet that I originally made, and that's okay. It takes a little bit of fussing to just get things situated where you want them. And also, another nice little tip here that I didn't do ahead of time, but I'm going to do now. I'm just going to give this bucket a little tack of adhesive down here at the bottom so that I know it stays where I want it as I'm arranging all of these florals and leafy pieces. My bucket stays where I want it. Okay, now we're going to start adding some flowers in. We're going to start with when it comes to arranging the flowers, always start with your largest pieces. So you can decide where your largest guys are going to fall, again, probably in the background. And then you can place the smaller ones and start to worry about color more. Originally, I will just take one of each color, place it down, and then start to decide, okay, this side needs a little purple, this side needs a little more of the rose water. So we've got 3 flowers down so far. I want to show you this too, so I'm going to pull this guy back up. But I mentioned this when I was explaining these dies and these die cut details. So one of the fun things you can do with these is actually pop up the petals. So that's another way to give your flower some really fun dimension, is just to pop up that inner petal. And I'm just sliding my thumb along until I get to the base of it and kind of creasing it a little bit. And then you see you have this really fun dimensional flower. Oh, Deanna says she thinks it's a coal bucket. Okay. I knew there was a name for it. I think you're right. Okay, now let's put in a few more. We're going to nestle this light pink up here and maybe one more leaf right up here. We were a little short on the greenery in that area, so I decided to put that up there. The more things you add to your project, the harder it gets to keep them all in place. All right, I'm going to pop this up too. Actually, I'll wait until the end to pop it up because we do have to glue this all down. So we need one more purple. Do some purple over here. Maybe this one. Might tuck in a little bit better under this larger pink one. So this is sort of like being a florist, I feel like. You're just a florist with paper, right? Is how this works, because it is just about arranging these until you like where everything is sitting. And then we're going to pick it all up and adhere it down. All right, what do you think? I think I like how that looks. Okay, Trisha says an ash bucket. She has a brass one for her fireplace. That would be really pretty in a brass color, like our gold foil cardstock. That could be a cool thing to try with that one. Someone asked what colors did I use for the flowers that are cut out. So the greenery is spearmint, and then this pink is guava. Then we have rosewater is the light color, and passion fruit is the purple color. And then here is that oyster bucket. Okay, so I've explained this a couple of times. Once you have something like this laid out, how do you then adhere that without kind of compromising all the time that you spent on the layout itself? So I'm going to move this guy just a little bit ahead and then pull this one up. I'm always fussing. I could probably just fuss and never put the card together, but you guys are here to see a completed card. So in order to do that, in order to pick this all up, you can do it a couple of different ways. Now I know press and seal has been used many years in the crafting kind of usefulness as a crafting item. And you can take a little piece of your press and seal and kind of press it down onto your pieces, and then you can lift that whole thing up and pull it off of your project, and then you can adhere it with your adhesive. Now you can see here that press and seal has a little bit of a static cling to it, and sometimes when I hold it over my project, maybe if I hold it over here it'll do it, but it'll just pull the static cling kind of pulls your flowers and can move them ever so slightly, and that can be a little frustrating. So more recently, I have been using our Post-it removable labeling tape. So we do sell this at TE, and I just grab a piece that's long enough to cover my whole bouquet, and I am going to take this and just place it down over the top. And then we're going to press it into all of those pieces. Now, because I did a lot of layering, the pieces that are on top are going to adhere better to my Post-it note than the pieces that are hidden under the bottom. So we're just going to have to be a little bit careful as we pull this off of the paper. That's why I really made sure that I had as much of the design pressed onto the paper as I could. And sometimes it helps to turn it over even and go from the other side to make sure you're going to pull up all those pieces as you go. Okay. So now we are going to take and adhere the greenery pieces. We're actually going to take this in a few different steps. So right now I'm only going to add adhesive to the greenery. That's a spearmint greenery, because I want those to go straight down to my project or to my card base. And as I'm adding the adhesive, it's probably a good idea to just keep a finger on the die cut itself so that it stays in place while you're adding your adhesive. Almost there. Okay. I'll hold this up so you can see it a little bit better. So I've only put the adhesive on the spearmint pieces. I'm going to try to press this guy down in the middle. He seems to want to come up before I turn this over again. And I like this tape as well because it is a little bit see-through, so I can see where I want to place that bouquet. So I'm going to tack that down again, and then I'm going to press those pieces in place. Bobby, you struggle with the arrangement of your bouquet? Or maybe you were saying you struggled with deciding which parts to pop up, or maybe it was getting your press and seal to work the way you want it to. Okay, so once we have those greenery layers down, what I'm hoping for is that they stay behind while the flowers pull up. I'm going to leave my coal bucket at the bottom as well, but I want to just take the flowers with me this time. Come on, coal bucket, stay there. There we go. Okay, so now I have just the flowers, and I can decide which of the flowers I want to stay down and which ones are going to be popped up. So I think what I'm going to do is take kind of the backmost flowers, so that would be this one, and this one. And I'm going to adhere those straight down to my card. Another reason to make this decision might be which flowers have those inner petals that you can pop out, because if they have an inner petal to add more dimension and pop it up, then you don't want to adhere it straight down to your card base. Let it shine by popping those dimensional center petals out. Yes, the arrangement, Bobby, is not the easy part. For sure. Okay. Now my bucket's got to come out. And we should have 3 flowers left, I believe. Keeping track of which ones are supposed to stay down while I peel up this paper. Just like there we go. That one and that one and that one. Okay, so now we have 3 flowers left, and I want to pop these up. So to do that, I'm going to use the foam sticky circles, and I chose these because they fit great right in the middle of each of these flowers, still allowing those inner petal pieces to pop out. So we'll add one of these guys to the flower centers. You're gonna get a little bit longer live today. I just looked up at the clock and I thought, man, I'm glad I had these pre-cut, or we would really be running behind. Okay. Peel that off. Now for the ones that you popped up, there's probably still an opportunity, if you don't quite like the placement of them, to move it a bit. But then you can use something like a die pick, and you can pull those petals up and really add some extra dimension to your project. This is easier for me than trying to get my fingers in there, I think. Just kind of using that die pick to pull up that inside piece. I don't know why I have been so tired lately. I actually went down to the fridge before my live today and looked for a Dr. Pepper, which I have really been pretty good without caffeine these days, but every once in a while I'm just feeling like I need one. And we were all out. I know, how many of you don't drink coffee? Please send me a heart, or maybe raise your hand or something if you're not a coffee drinker. Sometimes I feel so alone because everybody's like, oh, have you had your cup of coffee yet? And no, I have never had a cup of coffee ever in my life. Never. I just don't do it. I can't do it. Okay, so now we're going to nestle our little bucket back up in there, and we can adhere that down. Oh, Kimberly, you just drink water? I wish I had that. I'm actually going to cut this little nub off. It ended up being right underneath this pedal, and it's sort of interfering with my foam dot that's under there. I probably could have done a better job of making sure that cute little detail showed, but since it's not going to show, I just cut it off. Kind of slip this up underneath a few of the flowers. We'll move this pink one in front here. There we go. And then I'm going to get out some of those amazing drip drops. Maybe on this one, or not drip drops, I'm sorry. Enamel dots. What do you think? Silver, gold? Silver or gold? I'm going to let you guys decide. Christine loves chai. My husband loves chai too. I always know what to get him if I go to a coffee shop. The only thing I ever order is a hot chocolate. So, creamer with a splash of coffee. Mindy, you are not alone in that, I'm sure. Okay, everybody says silver. Most of you are saying silver. I think with the oyster pot, it really goes nicely with that. The silver does. So we'll pull some of these out, and just love that they already have the adhesive on the back. And you get all of the sizes. I think there's something like, it says on the back, 84 maybe, 84 of these enamel dots in each package. I'm taking directions now. Rita says, put the green leaf between the guava flowers, so that I'm assuming you could maybe see some different, just see where one ends and the other begins. So that's a great idea. I think maybe I'll do that when I get off the live, because I don't have another, I want to use this leaf. So this is the leaf that I would like to use right here. It's a little bit thinner. And maybe not as bulky as this one, but I like your idea and where you're kind of going with that, putting that in between so that you can see the variation between those two same colored flowers. Let's finish off with our sentiments, and you guys are going to get to see that all together stamp in action now. We are going to do this. I'm going to do it on rose water, actually. And we're going to stamp it. That all together stamp is just one stamp. And we're going to stamp it with VersaFine Clair Nocturne. This is the VersaFine Clair black ink. It's just a go-to for me. This time I'm not going to emboss it, actually. I want it to be more of a matte finish and not take away from the matte enamel dots that I added by making the sentiment shiny. So Looks good. Bring back our die cut machine. Debbie, do you have a feature that notifies you if you have already ordered something so you don't order it twice? We do not. No. I bet others would probably have some good ideas for you for cataloging products. I know that's how I've seen most people do it when they want to know if they already have something, is to have a catalog of some sort. I know Color My Life is one, and Evernote is another one that people have recommended often. We do not have that feature that I'm aware of, but I don't shop on my own website, and we have other people that do more of the web administration, so maybe I'm missing something and we do have that. Okay, so I got that die lined up. Tacked it down with my Scotch removable tape here. And then we'll send it through. Oh, Marilyn, you have my heart. She says she's a font snob and she loves the fonts on this. And I would fancy myself a font snob as well. So most all of the sentiments or font work that you see from Tailored Expressions is things that I've done. That's my contribution. I don't do the drawing and illustration, but I do the font work. And so it's fun for me to go shopping for fonts. I used to love shopping for shoes. I still love shopping for shoes, but I now make the joke that I shop for fonts like I used to shop for shoes. And it's just fun to have a lot of options. Okay, so there are those 8 sentiments that we got from that one die cut piece, the All Together Occasions. And we're going to put that on our little bouquet here. I did just a note on my other one. I think I'm going to do hello friend, or I need a thank you card. Yes, I do. Everybody needs a thank you card. Always. You can never thank someone too many times for anything, any little thing. And I need a thank you card. I got the most adorable gift from someone, a customer at our studio the other day. I've been wearing it like crazy. You know who you are. And I love it. So this is coming to you. Okay. Place that down here. And that is probably, this is probably something that I do without even thinking about it. But you might notice designers do this where they will intentionally try to have their sentiment touching another element of their card design. So a lot of times you won't see us take our sentiment and just, you know, put it off by itself in the corner like this. You want your sentiment to be part of your focal image. So you can see on this one that I did before with the Just a Note, it's slightly touching my greenery that's falling down off of the bucket. So just depending on where your where everything else falls, you want that sentiment to be part of what your eye is drawn to in the card. And so having it touch one of the elements is the best way to achieve that. I did have a card base here, but amidst all of my crafting, it fell off the front of my table. So you guys can just imagine what this is going to look like on a guava card base. And yeah, hopefully you got some good ideas for how to use these new products. Thanks for coming today. And all right, we're going to say a proper farewell here. So yes, thank you for popping in today and for watching the live and checking out our second chance release. We do have Heather's here on, is it Heather or is it Susan? on
Susan.
Thursday? It's Susan. Okay, Susan's here on Thursday. Either way, it's equally exciting for all of you. I just can never keep track of the schedule. But Susan will be here on Thursday. I will make sure she has some tea or coffee to spill on Thursday. So you are going to want to make sure you're here. The last release of the month is always our card making kit. So you guys are in for some fun next week. Susan will see you on Thursday. I will see you next week, Tuesday. Have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.